Set up. Margaret's voice rang through her massive dining room, dripping with fake sweetness. I watched as my mother-in-law gestured dramatically toward the rickety card table tucked into the corner, complete with mismatched plastic chairs and paper plates. Emma, dear, you and David can sit there with your little ones. My name is Emma Collins, and for the past 8 years, I've been relegated to the kids' table at every family gathering, despite being a 34-year-old pediatrician married to her precious son, David. It wasn't just about the seating, it was about making sure I knew my place in the family hierarchy. I glanced at my husband, David, who was helping our twins, Sophie and Lucas, hang up their coats. He caught my eye and gave me an apologetic smile. He knew how much this bothered me, how confronting his mother had never ended well. Mom, David started, maybe we could rearrange the main table to fit everyone? The twins are 7 now, and... Oh, don't be silly, Margaret interrupted, adjusting her perfectly pressed linen tablecloth. The adults' table is already arranged just so. Besides, Emma won't mind sitting with the children. After all, she works with them all day. I bit my tongue, remembering the conversation David and I had in the car on the way over. Just 3 more months, he'd whispered, squeezing my hand. Then we'll show them what a real family gathering looks like. The adults' table was a sight to behold. Fine china, crystal glasses, and elaborate centerpieces. Margaret's daughter Patricia sat there with her husband, despite being younger than me. So did cousin Sarah and her new boyfriend of 2 months. But somehow, there was never room for us. Come on, kids, I said cheerfully, leading Sophie and Lucas to our designated spot. Let's make our table the fun table. As we settled into our wobbly chairs, I could hear Margaret's voice carrying across the room. Patricia, darling, tell everyone about your new interior design project. She's doing the governor's summer home, you know. I pulled out my phone under the table, opening the photos from our contractor. The renovation was almost complete, our dream home. The one we'd been secretly working on for the past year. 4,000 square feet of carefully designed space with a dining room that could seat 30 comfortably. No more card tables, no more plastic chairs, no more artificial divisions. Sophie tugged at my sleeve. Mommy, why does Grandma always make us sit here? I looked at my daughter's innocent face and smiled. Sometimes, sweetheart, people think they can make themselves feel bigger by making others feel smaller. But do you know what's better than that? What? Lucas chimed in, already sporting a gravy stain on his holiday sweater. Creating a space where everyone feels welcome, I said, pulling up a picture of their soon-to-be playroom on my phone. Their eyes widened with excitement, but they remembered our secret, no telling Grandma about the new house until it was ready. Throughout dinner, Margaret's pointed comments continued to fly. Emma, dear, those paper plates should be fine for you. We wouldn't want any accidents with the good china. And later, oh, the children's table seems to be having such simple fun. That's really more your speed, isn't it? David kept shooting me supportive glances from his spot at the main table, where Margaret insisted he sit with the adults. We'd both grown tired of this treatment, but our response wouldn't be angry words or confrontations. No, we had something much better planned. As dessert wound down, Margaret stood up, clinking her crystal glass. I'd like to announce that this year's Christmas celebration will be extra special. We're having it catered by that exclusive company that did Patricia's gallery opening. Of course, we'll need to maintain proper seating arrangements. I felt David's hand on my shoulder as he came to join us at the kids' table. Actually, Mom, he said, his voice clear and confident, Emma and I will be hosting Christmas this year. The silence that fell over the room was delicious. Margaret's perfectly made-up face froze in a half-smile. Don't be ridiculous, David. You live in that tiny starter home. Where would everyone sit? We've moved, I said simply, meeting her gaze. We'd love to have everyone over to see the new place. Patricia snickered from her spot at the main table. What did you upgrade to a slightly larger starter home? You could say we've upgraded, David replied, winking at the twins. We'll send out the invitations next week. As we drove home that evening, the twins chattering excitedly in the back seat about their new playroom, David reached over and squeezed my hand. Did you see Mom's face? I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in years. Just wait until she sees what we've done with the place. No more kids' table, just one big family table where everyone belongs. 3 more weeks until we move in, David said, and 4 until Christmas. I smiled, thinking about the massive dining room table we commissioned, handcrafted from warm cherry wood. No more artificial divisions, no more power plays disguised as seating arrangements. Just one family together. Margaret had no idea what was coming, but she was about to learn that sometimes the people you try to minimize end up building something bigger than you could imagine. The invitations went out exactly 3 weeks before Christmas. I'd chosen elegant cream-colored cards with gold embossing, each one hand-addressed. As I dropped them in the mailbox, I couldn't help but smile, thinking about Margaret's reaction when she opened hers. Our new home was finally ready. The moving trucks had just left, and I stood in our grand entryway, still amazed at how everything had come together. The cathedral ceilings, the sweeping staircase, the floor-to-ceiling windows that filled every room with natural light. It was everything we dreamed of and more. But the crown jewel was the dining room. A magnificent space with coffered ceilings and French doors opening onto a stone terrace. The centerpiece was our custom-made table, a single stunning piece that could seat 24 comfortably. No divisions, no separate sections, just one unified space where everyone would be equal. The phone calls started rolling in almost immediately after the invitations were delivered. Patricia was first. "Emma, there must be some mistake. This address is in Oakwood Heights." Her voice dripped with disbelief. Oakwood Heights was the most prestigious neighborhood in town, the one where Margaret had always dreamed of living. "No mistake," I replied cheerfully. "We'd love to have you join us for Christmas dinner. We're thinking of starting a new tradition." Margaret's call came next. David put it on speaker so we could both hear. "David, darling," she began, her voice tight with forced control. "This invitation. Surely you're not serious about hosting Christmas? You know how particular everyone is about the traditions we've established." "Actually, Mom, we are serious," David replied, winking at me. "Emma's been planning the menu for weeks. We thought it would be nice to share our new home with the family." "New home." Her voice rose an octave. "In Oakwood Heights. How could you possibly?" "Well, Mom, it turns out that when you're both successful professionals who save and invest wisely, you can afford nice things," David said firmly. "We'd love to have you there. Emma's designed a beautiful table setting that will accommodate everyone together." The silence on the other end was deafening. "Together," Margaret finally managed. "But what about the children? Where will they?" "There won't be a separate kids' table," I cut in smoothly. "We believe family celebrations should bring everyone together, not create divisions." After we hung up, David pulled me into a hug. "You're amazing," he whispered. "Have I told you that lately?" The twins came running in from exploring their new playroom, their eyes shining with excitement. "Can we help decorate for Christmas?" Sophie asked, bouncing on her toes. Of course, I smiled. "This is our family home, and we'll all help make it special." Over the next week, we transformed the house into a winter wonderland. Crystal garlands draped the staircase, while twinkling lights framed every window. The twins helped me set up 3 Christmas trees, one in a living room, one in a family room, and a special one in their playroom. But my favorite decoration was the dining room. I'd chosen a color scheme of deep burgundy and gold, with elegant table runners and hand-picked china for each place setting. The centerpiece was a stunning arrangement of winter flowers and gilt branches that ran the length of the table. At each place, I set a personalized place card, including one for Margaret at the middle of the table, not at the head where she'd expect. Patricia drove by the house twice. We saw her car slow down as she passed, taking in the scope of our new home. The second time, she had Margaret with her. They sat in their car for several minutes just staring. "Should we invite them in?" David asked, watching from the window. I shook my head. "Let them wait until Christmas. Some presents are better opened on the actual day." The night before Christmas Eve, as David and I were putting the final touches on the decorations, he wrapped his arms around me from behind. "You know what I love most about this house?" he asked. "What?" "That it's not about showing off or putting anyone in their place. It's about creating a space where everyone can feel welcome and valued, even Mom, after everything. That's who you are, Emma. That's why I fell in love with you." I turned to face him, feeling tears prick at my eyes. Even after she made me sit at the kids' table all those years, he wiped a tear from my cheek, especially after that. "Because instead of getting bitter, you decided to build something better, something that could heal our family instead of dividing it." The twins appeared in their pajamas, asking for one more story before bed. As we all cuddled on the plush sofa in the family room, I looked around at our new home. Tomorrow was Christmas Eve, and the day after that would bring either a new chapter for our family or, well, I tried not to think about the alternative. Mommy, Lucas asked sleepily, will Grandma be nice at Christmas? I stroked his hair, choosing my words carefully. Sometimes, sweetheart, people need to be shown a better way. That's what we're going to try to do. Show everyone that family means being together, not apart. As I tucked them into their beds in their new rooms, I caught sight of Margaret's house keys sitting on my dresser. She'd given them to us years ago for emergencies, though she'd used them more than once to drop by unannounced and offer unwanted criticism about our old home. Tomorrow I would give them back to her, along with a new set of keys to our house. Because despite everything, we were family, and in this home, everyone would have a place at the table. Morning dawned bright and clear, sunlight sparkling off the fresh snow that had fallen overnight. I stood in our kitchen, surrounded by the aroma of roasting turkey and freshly baked cookies, watching the twins build a snowman through the window. They're here, Sophie called out, spotting Margaret's car pulling into our circular driveway. I smoothed down my dress and took a deep breath. David appeared beside me, squeezing my hand. Ready? Ready, I nodded. We opened the front door before they could ring the bell. Margaret stood there in her designer coat, clutching her signature cheese plate, her eyes widening as she took in the soaring entryway with its crystal chandelier and marble floors. Welcome to our home, I said, warmly genuine despite our history. Please come in. Patricia and her husband arrived moments later, followed by the other relatives. I watched their faces as they entered, knowing their barely concealed shock at the house's grandeur. But it wasn't about showing off. Each room had been designed with family in mind, from the cozy reading nooks to the game room that could keep kids and adults entertained for hours. The dining room is through here, I announced, leading the group down the hallway. As we entered, I heard several gasps. The room was magical. Sunlight streamed through the French doors, making the crystal stemware sparkle. Candles flickered in silver holders down the length of the table, and the burgundy and gold decorations created an atmosphere of warmth and elegance. But where will the children sit? Margaret asked, her voice small. Right here with us, I smiled, gesturing to the beautiful place settings I created for the twins, complete with their own crystal water glasses. We believe family means being together. Margaret's eyes landed on her place card, not at the head of the table where she clearly expected to be, but in the middle, surrounded by family on all sides. For a moment, I thought she might object, but then something unexpected happened. It's beautiful, she whispered, touching the place card with trembling fingers. All of it. As everyone found their seats, I noticed Patricia studying the hand-painted china. These are Haviland, she said, surprised. Like the set Mom always uses. Yes, I nodded. I remembered how much Margaret loves them. I thought it would be nice to incorporate something familiar. The first few minutes were awkward as everyone adjusted to the new dynamic. But then Lucas started telling a story about his snowman adventure, and Sophie chimed in with her own details. Their childish enthusiasm was infectious, and soon the adults were laughing and sharing their own childhood winter memories. I watched as Margaret slowly relaxed, especially when she realized she could easily talk to everyone at the table, not just those seated directly next to her. The conversation flowed naturally, weaving between adults and children, with no artificial divisions. During dessert, Margaret cleared her throat. Emma, David, I owe you both an apology. The table fell silent. For years, I've been terrible to you, Emma, especially with that ridiculous kids' table arrangement. She dabbed at her eyes with her napkin. I thought I was maintaining standards, traditions, but looking around today, I realize you've created something far better than anything I could have imagined. David reached over and squeezed my hand under the table. This home, Margaret continued, is not just beautiful because of its size or its furnishings. It's beautiful because you've made it a place where everyone truly belongs. I've been so wrong for so long. I stood up and walked over to her chair, pulling a small wrapped package from my pocket. I got you something, I said softly, handing it to her. She opened it to find a set of house keys tied with a red ribbon. These are for here, I explained. Because despite everything, we're family. And in this house, there will always be a place for you, at the main table. Margaret stood up and hugged me, something she had never done before. Thank you, she whispered, for showing me a better way. Later that evening, after the dishes were cleared and the leftovers packed away, We all gathered in the family room. The twins were showing their cousins their new toys. The adults were chatting by the fireplace, and Margaret was actually sitting on the floor, helping Sophie build a Lego castle. "Mommy," Lucas called out, "can we do this again next year?" I looked around the room at our blended family, no longer separated by artificial barriers or seating arrangements. I think I smiled, catching David's eye. This is the start of a new tradition. As the evening wound down and our guests prepared to leave, Margaret pulled me aside. "You know," she said thoughtfully, "I always thought I was teaching you about family traditions, but you've taught me what family really means." I watched from our front door as everyone drove away, snow starting to fall again in the golden light of our porch lamps. David wrapped his arms around me from behind. "How does it feel?" he asked. "Like we've built something bigger than a house," I replied. "We've built a home where healing can happen." That night, as I tucked the twins into bed, Sophie asked, "Mommy, did we fix Grandma?" I smiled, smoothing her hair. "Sometimes, sweetheart, people just need to be shown that there's a better way to do things. And sometimes the best way to change someone's heart is to make room for them at your table." The kids' table was gone, but something much more precious had taken its place. A family united, gathering around one table, creating memories that would last a lifetime.